Hi guys, Ramsey here, and ladies, welcome to another video. Today I have a Perfumers portfolio video, and we actually are going to be talking about a couple ladies in this video, and I decided to lump them together, if you will, because they're tied by a certain thread, and that thread is the house of Amouage. They both got their start at Amouage back when Christopher Chong was creative director. We all miss Christopher Chong. He did such a fantastic job while he was at the house. And so the two women who are going to be featured in this video, one is Cécile Zarokian, and the other is Karine Vinchon-Spehner. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I am a big fan of both of their works. I have a couple bottles in my collection from each perfumer, and they've kind of started at Amouage, and then they've gone on to do other things with other houses. I'm a bigger fan of their earlier work. It's interesting that both of their careers started out with kind of like a bang, and then it feels like maybe the newer stuff is not as exciting. I'm not as thrilled with some of the vanillas that Cécile Zarokian has been using lately, although she's known for her vanillas. And I'm not as thrilled with kind of that synthetic amber wood that Karine has been using lately, but they are definitely worth talking about and worth getting to know their work. Some of the older stuff is absolutely outstanding, and even some of the newer stuff. You'll find some great information in this video. So I decided to lump them together because it's not like I have, 10, 12 bottles from each. Only 2 full bottles from Cécile, 1 decant, and then 5 bottles from Karine. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's get started, but before we do, we're gonna do scent of the day because it is an absolute banger, and it's a fragrance worth talking about, especially if you follow my taste and if you trust what I say, and I hope you do, because the whole point of this channel is to basically give you kind of like an unfiltered guide. I've said this before in other videos, but I noticed we've gotten a lot of subscribers as of late. And my point in making this channel is I noticed that a lot of people, when I would watch fragrance videos, they were it felt almost influenced by the industry in a way. Either they wanted to continue to get free bottles, so they would say nice things, or they didn't want to offend somebody. If they had a negative feeling about a fragrance, they kept it to themselves, kind of thing. So my point in this is I want to be fair, and I want to be balanced, and I want to give you guys my honest opinion on this. That's basically the crux of the channel. I'm a perfume lover who wants to share that. I noticed there is a bit of a hole for that. Believe it or not, there's not very many people out there who are just actively speaking their mind, good, bad, or indifferent, and letting the chips fall where they may. Everything is politics nowadays. Everything is offending somebody, but that's because they're in the system. They're in the free bottle system, if you will. They have to continue the supply chain. They don't want to offend the wrong creative director, the wrong brand owner, the wrong this, the wrong that. For me, every single one of these fragrances I bought with my own money, so I can say whatever I want about them. And so I think that gives me a little bit of a creative edge. Plus, my tastes are varied. I go everywhere in the fragrance industry. I have $8 cheapies. I have bottles that are retail for $1,000. I have vintage stuff like this, my scent of the day. This is a fragrance called Bandit by Robert Piguet. And boy, let me tell you, if you're a leather lover like me, if you love the note of leather, if you love chiffres, if you love proper leather chiffres, this and Azure, the vintage Azure by Estee Lauder that has that gold bit around the top of the bottle, and Cabochard by Parfums Grey are 3 absolutely stunning leather chiffres. I think it would be very hard to rank them, but I think if you forced me to, Azure is my favorite of the bunch. But they all fall into this category. This fragrance came out, and this is almost like the grandmother, if you will, because all three of those fragrances are marketed towards women, but they are all extremely masculine, extremely butch, if you will, to my nose, because it's not something that a modern woman would smell and like. In fact, I think most women nowadays would smell this and be put off. It's something that has to grow on you because it's very bold, very butch, very heavy in your face. It was basically made at a time when it was a little bit of a revolutionary statement for women to be smoking and going out, and, you know, the freedom that the modern women's suffragette movement had to endure. And that's where this fragrance came in. And let me tell you, what they did here is absolutely amazing. This is a older EDT. You know, back when they used to just do stuff like this, where they just would paint a number on the bottom of the bottle. But it came out in 1944. It's been through many types of reformulations. This is the only one that I've smelled. This is the only one that I know. I've never smelled anything else, but I will tell you that I am in love with this fragrance. I wore Herod yesterday. If you follow my channel, you will know that. And I was very put off by Herod. It was just too sweet for me. I wanted a tobacco, you know, and I noticed I didn't wear it all year, so I wore Herod. And this is almost like, you know, an oasis for a thirsty man in the desert for a guy like me. I love Bandy. It's so amazing. It's so green. The leather note is one of the best leather notes in perfumery. I know I'm talking this up, but it deserves it. I mean, who's gonna get on here and talk about Bandy from 1944? Nobody. Nobody's gonna hype this. Not modern YouTube channels, because, you know, this is not something new. This is not the newest thing. There's thousands of releases now every year, and you have to almost pick through it with a fine-tooth comb to find the 1, 2, or 3 fragrances that are worth it for today's world. But going back to the old days, you can instantly just go get something like this and just be stunned. This will blow away 99% of niche, even the stuff that's going for $1,000. Trust me, it is an outstanding composition. It's green, it has galbanum and tarragon, it has aldehydes, it has neroli, it has florals, but there is definitely a floral heart. There's carnation, jasmine, rose, violet, and gardenia, and ylang-ylang. So lots of florals, but they're swallowed up by this very animalic leather with civet. The civet here is just gorgeous. If you like animalic fragrances, you have to get your nose on Bandy. It is a stunning leather. Stunning. Best thing from the house, hands down. I would like to get a bottle of Casbah one day. Is that the incense one? I think it is. Whatever the incense one. But I'll tell you what, this has been such a joy to wear for the last 3 hours or so today. And it feels like I just sprayed it. It's that strong. It's 3 hours old on the dry down. And it is just immense. Such a great perfume. Okay. Let's get to the fragrances from the 2 ladies we're talking about today. First, I want to talk about one of my favorite vetiver fragrances, and it's from the house of Jovoy, and it's called Private Label. And Private Label is a very dark leather with the note of papyrus. It's actually one of my favorite papyrus fragrances of all time. I mentioned a designer fragrance that does something similar to Private Label by the house of Lalique. Go watch my Lalique family portrait video that I did, and you will see the fragrance that I'm talking about. It's a flanker to Amouage called Voyager, and Voyager was a Michel Almarac creation, I believe, and it reminds me of a designer version of this. And this is one of Cécile Zarokian's earliest fragrance. So Cécile Zarokian, I should mention, Cécile Zarokian got her start. Her very first fragrance was Epic Woman for Amouage. So Christopher Chong gave her her start, right? And Epic Woman is supposedly an amazing fragrance. I've never smelt it. I don't have it in my collection. It's on my list. I would love to find an older bottle from 10 years ago, but they're hard to come by, and you know, I just it's there. It's on my wish list. I need to get a bottle. So this came out in 2011. This came out almost about I think a year or two after Epic Woman came out, right? So she's still very early in her perfume career. She, I think, was an apprentice at the time she made Epic Woman. I don't think she had her own company like she does now. This is basically papyrus at the top with this amazing patchouli vetiver leather combo. That's pretty much it. With some beautiful labdanum. The labdanum in this smells amazingly high quality. The thing I like about the House of Jovoy is everything seems premium. You know, the quality of the ingredients seem top notch. The presentation is amazing, but you don't pay outrageous prices. They're not gouging you like some houses that will be left nameless. You know, look at the cap. The cap is this heavy, I mean, very heavy. It's probably 10 times as heavy as a Creed cap. If you threw this at somebody, you could really hurt them. And the sprayer is fantastic, and you get 100 ml, and the bottles are crystal. So everything is premium with this brand. And when you want like a dark, brooding leather, there's some birch here as well. Sometimes the fragrance can smell just a touch smoky, but it's very masculine. This is uber masculine to me. Ultra, even though it's unisex. Jovoy releases Jovoy releases most of their perfumes unisex now, I believe. But for me, this is a masculine fragrance through and through. Beautiful for rainy days, stuff like that. But if you're a fan of the note of papyrus, I know Jonathan, 1970, you told me that you were a big fan of papyrus. I think you went out and bought that Voyager after I mentioned it. If you like that, if you're a fan of that, you know, style papyrus, you have to check out Private Label. It is it's amazing. Better than most of the modern niche stuff that's coming out right now. Definitely better than the new stuff that this house is coming out with. This is another brand similar to Amouage that I really liked what they did in the old days, and now I'm a little bit agnostic with some of the stuff that they're putting out. Okay, let's go to her second creation from my list here, and we're going to jump to 2014, and this is an official brand decant. It's a 10 ml, and I think I have a second one of these actually. I wonder if I grabbed the one I sprayed. Let me try to spray this. It's been a while since I've smelled this anyways. Okay, I grabbed the other one. Let's see. So, Tango is, yeah, I like this. So this is 2014. This is basically this spicy resinous. You get some beautiful florals. So it starts out peppery, cardamom with bergamot. And then you get this lovely, look at the color of the juice. I mean, this is a through and through spicy resinous fragrance. The florals are beautiful here, though. The way that she did the Jasmine Sambac Absolute with Damask Rose is stunning. There is cumin here. So, you know, if you think about a tango dance, bodies are hot and sweaty and moving and all that stuff. And maybe you get a little bit of that sweaty body odor in the dance. You get that with the cumin in here, but it's not overdone. It's not so much that you will smell it, but I would say if you don't like cumin, do still sample this because it's a great fragrance. Vanilla tonka. There's a sweet clover absolute that's pretty unique here. And then it's the amber, the leather, the benzoin in the base that really gives off that, you know, heavy resinous feel. glad to have a decanter. I think I have a second one of this somewhere. I got to go look, but because I know I've smelled this before, and this was not sprayed, so I must have a second decant floating around. And I really like this fragrance. This would be full bottle worthy to me if it wasn't for the fact that these Masque Milanos are pretty expensive, and I think they just raised their prices again. So if you like that kind of resinous, dark, warm, enveloping fragrances, you have to check this out. It also lasts a long time, just like Private Label. They're both beasts as far as projection and all that stuff goes. We're talking, 9, 10, 11 plus hour affairs, although I still reapply. So again, her earlier work I really like. As you can see, I'm a big fan. Now, let's jump to 2019, because there's a fragrance I blind bought based on the hype from Nishane, and it's called Ani. And Ani is basically this doughy vanilla fragrance, is the best way I can describe it. Doughy vanilla is, it comes in this little box like this. If you've never seen Nishane's presentations, with the little horse, they're a Turkish company. And so you open it up like so. There is a card detail. I've shown this before on my channel, so I won't get into it. But the bottle sits in the, coffin like so. And here's the bottle. On the back, you get the man on the horse. And so Ani to me is basically this Play-Doh, like, it almost feels like there's heliotrope in it, with that Play-Doh. You know how heliotrope gives that almost almondy Play-Doh like vibe? It feels like they took that heliotrope, the way that heliotrope feels in a fragrance like Le Bleu, but made it using this gingery, peppery vanilla. That's basically what you get. This gingery, peppery vanilla with some fruitiness from like blackcurrant or, some florals from rose, but that's all kind of in the background for me. It's peppery because of the cardamom and pink pepper. Apparently there's supposed to be ambergris in here. I don't know if they use real ambergris or not. I never would have guessed. Ambergris is a tough note to pick out anyways, because it just kind of gives a feel to a fragrance a lot of times. It gives this kind of sparkle, this extra little bit. And I thought they put the notes on the bottle. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's if you're a vanilla lover, for me, the problem that I have with this fragrance, and again, 100% honest, this is my true thoughts. I would just rather wear something like Shalimar, to be honest with you. Shalimar or even Creed's Venezia, which completely blew me away. Creed's Venezia did what I thought this fragrance was going to do. It just completely stunned me with how beautiful it is. Whereas everyone was talking about this fragrance being like the second coming if you're a vanilla lover, which I'm sometimes a vanilla lover, sometimes a vanilla hater. It just depends on how it's done. I love it in Shalimar. I love it in Venezia. But Ani just feels, sometimes it feels a little bit boring. Sometimes it feels a little bit out of place. It feels a little wrong. It feels like you took a vanilla batter. It almost smells like this vanilla ginger batter that you just put on your skin. And, I will definitely wear it. I have the bottle. It will get worn, but it's not my favorite. I would much rather wear Private Label or even Tango for that matter. Okay. Now, let me try to figure out how to put this back, and then we will jump to Cécile Zarokian's counterpart at Amouage for many years, and that is Karine Vinchon-Spehner. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. She got her start from a fragrance called Memoir Man, and this is 2010. So you can see, look at the dent that I put in this bottle. When you have a collection my size, that is a hell of a dent. Now, this is a tester. This is a made in Oman tester, which I really regret buying a tester, and I'll tell you why. All of my Amouage collections have these, you know, beautiful caps, right? These just stunning caps. And so in my collection, it's just all these lovely caps lined up, and then there's this one. It's just the ugly duckling out of place. But the fragrance is amazing. If you're a lover of green fragrances, this fragrance is a knockout green fragrance because it uses this absinthe, wormwood accord with basil, tarragon, and mint. How's that for a green opening? Absinthe and wormwood with basil, tarragon, and mint. Absolutely stunning, which, by the way, I do have a This Is Not a Top 10 basil fragrances coming up soon. One of my subscribers, Ben, requested it, and I'm going to do it. There's so many basil fragrances, though. I have to kind of figure out how I'm going to do it all without the video being 3 hours long. But this one has an amazing basil note. It's so green. It's like literally walking into an enchanted forest. There's lavender absolute, there's rose, there's frankincense. So it stays true to that Amouage DNA, you know, the frankincense. But the base is amber oak moss. There's gaiac wood in here. There's leather, but it's not a leather fragrance like Bandy is a leather fragrance. Bandy is so good. There's musk, sandalwood, tobacco, vanilla, and vetiver. So it just feels like you're walking into this very green, enchanted forest, if you will. This is going to take some time to get used to for somebody who is less experienced in the fragrance game. It would be very easy to smell this and go, nope, not for me, no way, no how. But you have to give it a chance. Let it dry down and develop, and you will see just how beautiful this fragrance is. There is no better wormwood fragrance on the market. I mean, this is, to me, this is the peak wormwood. And it's so unique. It's smoky. You know, it's fresh because of the mint in the basil, but it's also smoky because of the frankincense. You could say it's balsamic potentially. I'll do a full review one day. I need to, even though I've really put a dent in this, it's been a while since I've given it a full wear. So I'll give it a full wear or two, and then I'll do a full review one of these days. But if you like green fragrances, Memoir Man is very, very unique. Very unique. There's nothing I've ever smelled that's anywhere near this. So that's how she got her start. Again, bang, onto the scene. And Christopher Chong, when he was creative director, obviously had that effect on these new up-and-coming perfumers. They could go to a brand like Amouage, which I loved back then for how brave they were, and create something that was not mass appealing, not mass marketed, not normal, if you will. Speaking of not normal, her next one a couple years later is even more insane than Memoir. Memoir is an insane fragrance, but it's wearable. This one borders on almost unwearable. I will wear it, though. I absolutely will wear it. But you really have to think about where you're going to wear this fragrance. This is Amouage Fate Man. So this is Fate. Okay? And this is basically the ultimate cumin fragrance. If you think Tango had cumin in it, God, Tango's beautiful. Some of the animalics are really starting to come out. But if you think Tango has cumin, check out Fate. If you're a cumin lover, if you're a spice lover, this is unbelievable. It is, you know, the style of the bottle. This is one of the most beautiful bottles, by the way. And people hated this fragrance. I remember watching videos from years and years ago of people just completely annihilating this fragrance, saying it smells like a it smells like, you know, a dirty Indian restaurant or stuff like that. But really, this is a very special fragrance in that, think about the guts it took. This is a made, by the way, this is a made in Oman bottle. Think about the guts it took to release this fragrance to the market. It has saffron and cumin, mandarin orange, and ginger in the top. There's also supposedly an absinthe note here, but I never get it, not like in Memoir anyways. There's lavender and everlasting flower, which is why can I not think of what everlasting flower? Immortelle. Immortelle is everlasting flower. There's rose, frankincense, and Copiba balsam, labdanum, cedarwood, licorice, and you do get a slight licorice note with musk, tonka, and sandalwood. This is another fragrance that smells absolutely like nothing you've ever smelled before. So Karine Vinchon-Spehner's two first fragrances, at least in my collection, two first fragrances were just absolute stunners in the fact that they were unique, they were different. She really could express herself at Amouage, and it's so spicy. But as far as like the ultimate cumin fragrance goes, there is no. And you can see I put a fairly decent dent into this bottle. You know, I do wear this fragrance, absolutely. You don't need many sprays though, because it is powerful. It's strong. This is like Rich Bitch's kryptonite right here. Rich Bitch hates cumin, and this is a cumin bomb, and I can see why it puts people off. But if you can get past some of that opening and let it dry, you will realize that this fragrance has some very beautiful facets to it. It's not all as bad as people make it seem. There are some challenging bits to it, but for a true fragrance connoisseur, I would say sample this, wear it, try to see the beauty inside of it, because there is a lot of beauty inside of this fragrance. But it will challenge you. If you want a fragrance that's going to challenge you and you don't want to go buy expensive ouds or stuff like that, you can get this for super cheap. They basically sell this for a third of the price that it retails for, maybe less than a third sometimes, because not many people can handle a fragrance like this. You know, I can handle Amouage fragrances for sure. I'm up to a certain point, up to the new ones anyways. The new ones I'm not a fan of. I don't like the direction the house is going, but old Amouage, I can handle that for sure. Now, another extremely strange fragrance so she's on a roll with very strange fragrances in my collection. This is a made in the UK bottle. So the first two were made in Oman. This one's made in the UK, but it is amazing. It's a 50 ml, so it's a little baby boy. Take a look. It's a 50 ml of Myths Man. And look at the dent in that bottle. This is another one that is completely out of left field. It is, someone on Fragrantica called this a nightmare, and I completely understand what they're saying, but to me, that's almost like a compliment, because what they've done is they've used chrysanthemum, which is a funeral flower, and iris, and they've paired that with rum and rose and vetiver and elemi. So the top is completely nuts, chrysanthemum. It smells like the color of this bottle. And so you get chrysanthemum and iris, beautiful iris actually, but the chrysanthemum will throw you for a loop. And then it mixes with more of a somewhat traditional mid rum, rose, vetiver, and elemi. And then the base goes back to completely insane. There's labdanum, leather, and then the curveball at the end is ash. And it's not, don't think, elemi, or don't think olibanum. Don't think about that piney, incense you're used to smelling. This is ash. This is true ash, like a volcano just erupted and ash fell onto your skin. And so you have the funeral flower, death. You have ash, death. And in between, you have this beautiful fragrance. Again, you have to get past the insane floral opening for a man's fragrance. This is going to put you off if you're not used to. All of these first fragrances that she put out in my collection are high level of high degree of experience in the fragrance game, or you will not like this. I mean, if you're looking for just designers, if you're looking for Bleu de Chanel's, Sauvage, Eros, this is the farthest thing away from that. You know, this is like a Beaufort London fragrance or something. But for me, when it's under, let's say 75 degrees, okay, if it's under 75 degrees in Texas, I can rock this. And it accents your outfit so well. It just makes you pop, you know, it makes you feel like you're just, you know, you feel like people are just getting out of your way. They probably are. But I don't care. I love this fragrance. And I don't know about reformulations, though. This is an original bottle when it first came out, or maybe a year after, 2016 or 2017 bottle, if I'm not mistaken. So some people say reformulation is an issue, but if you can find these older bottles where they say the name on the collar right there, that is what you want. So just try to find one of these older bottles where it says it on the side and not down here. Okay. Then the masterpiece of her work, the magnum opus of her collection, if you will, and that is Overture Man. Now, look at the dent again. Look at the color of the juice. Oh my God, look at that. That is just amazingly beautiful. And I'll tell you what, as a goodbye to Amouage, Christopher Chong released this legend of a fragrance. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite winter fragrances. It's one of my favorite boozy fragrances. And what she basically did with this. Now, this is also a challenging fragrance. I don't think it's as challenging as the first three. It's probably right there with Memoir as far as challenging goes. But then Myths and Fate are another level of challenging. So this is a little bit more wearable for the average person, I think, than Myths and Fate. Because what they've done with Overture is they've used one of the most amazing grapefruit with ginger openings in a boozy fragrance you could ever imagine. So it's grapefruit ginger, and then you get this saffron with cumin and cognac, and there is cumin here as well. So this is the ultimate cumin fragrance of all time, Amouage Fate. She still uses cumin here, but it's a little bit more toned down. It's more respectable. It's classier. I got this right when it came out. Actually, this was originally a Harrods exclusive, and I ordered it from the Harrods website, and somehow they delivered it to me here in Texas. I don't know how. I don't think I paid any extra for it. But this starts kind of very fresh and zingy, and then it goes into this deep, rich, animalic, boozy fragrance, which if you're somebody like Eugene who doesn't like boozy fragrances, I would say still sample this because there's so much more going on. This is literally like, a lot of people use the whole, you know, music comparison when it comes to fragrances. And, you know, this feels like an overture in a symphony. You know, all the different notes hit you. You get cinnamon, patchouli, mastic, geranium, benzoin, labdanum, myrrh. The myrrh here is beautiful, by the way, in the mid. And then the bass brings in this lovely leather that just complements everything so well. Sandalwood, there's frankincense, so she stays true to the Amouage DNA. There's myrrh, there's frankincense, spicy in the top, saffron, and then, you know, the curveball for Amouage is the boozy notes. Now she used boozy notes twice, rum and cognac. And so if you're somebody who likes Roja's Creation E or Enigma, check this one out. This is the only other fragrance in my mind that can compete head to head with Creation E as far as a cognac note goes and hold its own. This maybe even is better than Creation E. Just depends on your taste. The frankincense, the animalic notes, there is an animalic facet to this, but I don't know what they are. Maybe it's a little bit of civet or castoreum or something else, but they don't specify. They just say animalic notes. But it is a major achievement for a house that, you know, they started out so amazing with Christopher Chong's career. Jubilation, epic, interlude, and then it felt like they kind of took a little bit, they kind of went into the deep artistic end with fragrances like Fate and Myths Man, which for a hardcore Amouage fanboy like me, I loved. But not everyone loved that. And then it felt like they just got right back to the, they got right back to the top of the mountain right before he left. So this is a fantastic goodbye. It's such a great perfume. Highly sought after and hard to get because it was a Harrods exclusive. Now, I think Amouage made it in its own line now, but of course there's talk of reformulation. And look at the bottle, that frosted bottle. I love the way they do their presentations. It's absolutely stunning. And normally I don't get caught up on presentations, but look at that with the crystal. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay. The final fragrance, unfortunately, is a little bit of a dud. It's not a dud. It's a good fragrance, but it is not what I was expecting. I was expecting so much more from this. And I bought this blind first when it first came out. And I'll show you the box. I usually don't have the box, but here I have the box. This is her latest release, 2021, or latest release in my collection, I should say. And it's Boundless. Amouage Boundless. Now, Boundless is where, so they started doing this thing where they no longer do Overture Man, Overture Woman. They don't do Boundless Man, Boundless Woman. This is just basically Boundless. So they still put it in the masculine bottle, but they stopped assigning genders to it. I actually don't like that. I like the fact that Amouage did a man and a woman's fragrance. I know that obviously, I wear women's fragrances. Bandit is a women's fragrance. Azure, I was talking about earlier, women's fragrance. I have number 19. I have all kind of women's fragrances, so I don't have a problem with that. But I like the fact that Amouage still did this because very few niche houses did that anymore. Now they all do the unisex thing, which is fine. I get it. Fragrances are unisex. But I liked the way Amouage did that. It made them a bit unique, and they lost that with the new creative director. So here's an example of the new bottle. This is Boundless, and this is what I was talking about with the writing. So if you can find the bottles that don't have the name underneath, they have it on the side. That is apparently what you want. All of the new bottles have the name here. So if you get Jubilation, it'll say Jubilation, and it won't say it on the collar anymore. Still, stunning presentation. I love this bottle. The off-white cap is really stunning. And the fragrance is a good spicy fragrance, but when I saw the notes of tobacco, cardamom, blood orange, ginger, frankincense, myrrh, I got super excited. And while this is a good fragrance, I was disappointed in this fragrance. This is a made in Oman bottle. You won't be able to see it, but it is. And it basically opens with blood orange, cardamom, ginger, and elemi, with bourbon vanilla absolute and bourbon vanilla CO2, so different extractions, benzoin, guaiac wood, papyrus, cacao absolute. When I saw cacao and tobacco, I thought, oh, this is going to be the greatest Amouage since Overture. And it was a little of a letdown. It is a beautiful, spicy opening. You get this cardamom and, you get this frankincense, myrrh, vetiver, patchouli thing going on in the base. And the problem that I have with this fragrance is it is a little bit more mass appealing than Amouage fragrances that I'm used to. I feel like they were going for the average Joe a little bit more with this. They were going for a little more mass marketing. They didn't want to offend. They played it safe, and that's not what Amouage is. Amouage is not about play it safe. They're about we do our fragrances our way. And so that's the problem that I have with the new creative director, Renaud Salmon. No offense to him. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy, but Amouage lost a lot when they lost Christopher Chong. Christopher Chong was, you know, the captain that steered the ship. And I feel like the ship is now captainless. It's rudderless. There's no one to take the reins and really bring them back on course. You know, the Sultan who founded Oman, or who founded Amouage, who had this dream to bring Amouage worldwide, to make Oman perfumery worldwide. He died, he passed away, and then Christopher Chong left. So new leadership, new investors have kind of taken the company in a direction that I'm not as fond of anymore. I used to blind buy everything when it first came out. I would just blind buy it. And I can't do that anymore. You know, this is the last Amouage blind buy for me. I don't like some of the ones that came before this in the light mint bottle. You know, they didn't do it for me. It's not an Amouage. This is maybe a little bit more for an Amouage, but it feels like a designer Amouage, if you will. There's also a lot of amber woody notes in here. A lot of synthetic amber woods that kind of bothered me. So again, it's a good fragrance. It's a good spicy fragrance. But is it a good tobacco fragrance, which is what I wanted? I love the note of tobacco. I wore Harrod yesterday, and I don't really like Parfums de Marly. I just wanted a tobacco. But you have to stand that sweetness, you know. This is probably better than Harrod, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Let's put it that way. So, I appreciate you watching my dual Perfumers portfolio video with Karine Vinchon-Spehner. There's her signature, by the way. And Cécile Zarokian. And, you know, we'll do more of these. I'll highlight more perfumers. I know there's bigger ones. You know, Olivier Polge still has to get done. Dominique Ropion still has to get done. I'm waiting for a new Ropion that's coming in the mail soon. And then I'll do it. Jacques Polge, I still haven't done. So there's a lot more big names to come. But I wanted to lump these two ladies together because the way that their career started at Amouage and the way it really kicked off and what it became is worth highlighting. And they're starting to get the recognition that they deserve. So if there's other fragrances from these two perfumers that you think I should check out, please let me know. And if you have opinions on these, thoughts on these fragrances, also, of course, please let me know. I really appreciate you sharing 43 minutes of your day with me. And I love seeing your faces in the comments. Again, a like is always appreciated. A subscription is always appreciated, but I won't ask you for it. It's not really my style. I'm not going to be the one that gets on here and says like, subscribe, and comment like I have some sort of tick that I just can't get rid of every single video. Obviously, I think if you like the content enough, you will like and subscribe, and that is always appreciated. So, thank you very much. I hope to hear from you in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. Cheers. Bye-bye.